Call the dogs in because you're listening to the Fieldmaster Podcast. All right, everyone. Welcome back to episode 4 of the Fieldmaster Podcast, brought to you by Sportsman's Pride Professional Dog Food. We are joined by 2 new guests today. We've got Allie, who's on our team here at Sportsman's Pride and Fieldmaster. Welcome, Allie.
Thanks for having me.
Ryan stepped out today. He said that he feels like we got it, and so he's putting us in charge.
Cool. All right.
I don't know how, but we managed. And we've got Sam as well.
Hello, hello.
Always welcome to have Sam on the podcast. All right, we've got another special guest this week, Kevin Erdmier of Southern Pine Kennels in Blackshear, Georgia. Welcome, Kevin.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Glad to have you. You are on the way back from hunting in Arkansas this week, and you brought the cold weather with you.
Absolutely. I hope it stays here, though.
I hope it follows you because
take it with you.
we are tired of the cold here in Alabama.
Yes.
Do you have a good trip in Arkansas?
Well, I did have a really good trip. Killed a band on a goose for the first time and first band in like 18 years. So
It's always special
very
to get a
special.
band.
Yeah.
Yeah. So for those who don't know, is it the U.S. Wildlife that does it?
yeah, there's several agencies that does it, but yeah, U.S. Fish and Wildlife, I think, actually is the one that keeps up with it.
Yeah. So Fish and Wildlife, they'll band a bird that they release, and then they can track it. And when you kill a band, is usually what it's called. But you can register that band and you can put in the information and it'll tell you where it's released from and it'll tell you what year, it'll tell you how old it is. So they use it to track populations and stuff like that.
Oh, that's cool.
It's
I
really
know.
cool. So it's like a very unique thing to kill a banded bird.
Nice.
And
Yeah.
this one banded in Canada
Oh, wow.
about 9 years ago.
Wow.
So pretty neat. I wonder how many trips it's made from Canada to Arkansas or Louisiana or who knows
Yeah.
where.
Yeah. It's kind of like a trophy buck almost to
Yep.
be able to get a band. And do you keep the band? Because I know some people who will flatten it out.
I keep them, yeah. I
Yeah.
keep 'em.
Yeah.
I almost mounted this one just because it had been so long, but I decided just to keep the band.
Yeah, yeah. It's a good little piece of memorabilia to have. So Kevin is the owner, like I said, of Southern Pine Kennels in Blackshear, Georgia. He's also a Sportsman's Pride ambassador, and he specializes in 6 different training programs, with his main focus being on obedience, which is something that I think when you and I initially started talking really stood out, because a lot of our other ambassadors have a lot of training with hunting dogs. And I know you do that as well, but you guys have, I think it's 4 or 5 different programs just focused around obedience,
Yes, that's correct.
which is awesome. And I know you got people who come all over the country to do it.
Yes. So we got, like you said, 5 or 6 different programs for obedience. We basically got from a puppy program all the way up to an advanced kind of a what you call a service dog type program, which basically would make the dog bomb proof for any scenario.
Right.
We can do scent training. Started one recently to do to be a diabetic alert dog. Getting help with that is the first time I've actually done that, so that's a kind of a neat process to do. So yes, a lot of different obedience programs, hunt retriever programs. We do a few pointers for hunters. So a little bit of variety of a little bit of everything.
Yeah. It's funny that you bring up a diabetic service dog. I am a type 1 diabetic, and I get videos of service dogs that, alert people when they're going low. And to me, I think it's so unique because some people have them trained, they will bring like a juice box or something.
Sure.
And then also like they'll bump your leg.
Yeah, I've seen videos of it. Just kind of like use their nose. And I just like.
And as a diabetic, I mean, when I get low, sometimes I get irritable, and so I don't know if I'd want a dog. I don't know if I'd want a dog that's kind of, bumping me all the time. But it's really unique. It's really, really cool.
I'll just start bumping you when you get irritable.
Right.
It probably would help.
I got you.
Your arm's gonna get tired.
Yeah. Allie's just gonna walk in one day and just
Yeah.
punch me in the arm and
Quit.
be like, I don't know, I just had a feeling.
I knew it.
But so I want to talk about how we kind of got connected, because this is something where in the modern age of social media and everything like that, you know, you often try to reach out to people to work together and different things like that. And you were tagging Sportsman's Pride in all of your videos every single day before you were even an ambassador. But what's interesting is I was like, okay, well, you know, I want to check them out. I want to see what you guys do. So I went on your website, and you had on your website an entire section just about Sportsman's Pride dog food. And we didn't know
Didn't know you.
And then long story short, we found out that, you know, you were friends with a distributor and you had gotten Sportsman's Pride and you really liked it and stuff like that. And so it's very unique to get someone who, you know, is consistent in what they were doing and what they were posting and things like that to becoming an ambassador. And, you know, I kind of hate to say it, but promoting us, you know, before you even had a relationship with us, which is awesome. And now look at you. Now you're here. But before we really dive into your kennel, because there's a lot that I want to talk about there, I want to talk about your career before the kennel, because correct me if I'm wrong, it was Homeland Security, right? You were with Homeland Security for how many years?
About 28.
That's a long time.
Yes.
A long time. Did you start in Homeland Security, or did you?
No, Homeland Security didn't come around till after September 11th.
Got it.
So I worked for the Department of Justice, and then I went to Homeland Security, and I retired from Homeland Security.
Now, what did you do within Homeland Security?
So I was a federal air marshal
Okay.
for 7 years, almost 8 years, and then I went to the Federal Training Center where I trained all new agents how to shoot guns, handguns, rifles, and shotguns.
So if you miss a bird, do you get like an extra hard time?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I can imagine. So was training dogs any part of that program, or was it just the rifles and handguns?
Just rifles and handguns. The training center I was at did not have any K9.
Got it.
I did a little bit of K9 earlier on, but the government has really, in the last probably 10 or so years, really got more into K9s than they did before. For federal. State and local had them, but federal seemed like it's ramped up after September 11th with bomb dogs and drug dogs and that kind of stuff.
Yeah. I went to school at Auburn, and when I was there, one of the big like news releases that they had is they were working on a training program with K9s, and it was called Vapor Wake, I think is what it was called. And I don't necessarily understand how it all worked, but essentially they could smell a scent or, you know, some thing that someone is not supposed to have from like a mile away, I think is what the news headline was.
I don't know how far, but it's amazing what they can do.
Yeah.
What I can smell.
That's a pretty good distance.
Yeah.
Like I said, don't quote me on that. I think I don't know if that's
like,
what it was,
wow.
but I remember.
You're wrong, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kevin came prepared with 3 pages of notes for us today, so he might have it ready. Things that he didn't even know we were going to talk about. So after you retired, that's when you started the kennels.
So actually, about 2 years before I retired.
Got it.
I knew I was getting ready to retire, so I decided to start the kennel. I'd trained dogs for years. I've trained my own dogs really since I was a kid. So training for people that I knew. And so about 2 years before I retired, I decided, you know, this is what I want to do. I think I'm going to be a dog trainer, and full time. And so I started the kennel and started out small. Actually started in my garage. I took my garage, put me a heating and air conditioning unit in it, and that's where I started. And after that, I built me a building, climate control building, kennel with training areas. And we've actually expanded twice. So we've done very well in 7 years, I guess.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, in Blackshear, Georgia. That's right outside the Okefenokee. I'm gonna butcher this. Okefenokee Swamp, right?
You got it, Okefenokee Swamp.
Man, I impressed myself on that one a little bit.
There's nothing there. Fun fact: Ware County is the biggest county east of the Mississippi, landmass wise,
Really,
because of the Okefenokee Swamp.
Oh.
development-wise, though, there's not much.
Absolutely not.
So you touched on it a little bit, but so you were training dogs through childhood as well.
Yes.
And so is that something you were able to do while you were with Homeland Security, or just as you kind of could?
Just as I kind of could.
Right.
You know, when you got a career, it's kind of hard to have two careers or
Yeah.
two jobs. So.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah.
Well, especially being an air marshal, I mean, you're traveling
Correct.
every day.
And you don't
Yeah.
have set hours, so you can't say,
Right.
I'll take in this dog, I'll train it, give
Right.
it back. You just
Yeah.
can't do it.
Yeah, you would have to have someone to help you at that point, for sure.
Definitely.
Yeah, that's a good point. So after you retired, you started, 2 years before you retired, you started the kennel. And you said you've expanded twice. I know in talking with you recently, are you in the process of expanding again, or did you just finish an expansion?
Just finished the expansion.
And so now how many dogs are you able to hold?
About 40 total.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
And I know you've got your son who helps you
Correct.
as well. He's working today. And
Absolutely.
yeah.
That's why I can hunt.
Exactly.
Thanks, Ryan. The other Ryan, my son Ryan.
Yeah. We'll send this to him and
Yeah.
say, hey, thanks.
Here's your shout out.
Yeah. We needed him today, so thanks for working. Do you take him on trips often, or?
We honestly, we get to go maybe one trip a year. If we're
Yeah.
lucky. We try to get off for a few days. Last year it was NWTF. We got off for a few days. The convention in Nashville. We went off for like 4 days. But yeah, we try to do a hunting trip, but sometimes it's just a trip
Yeah.
just to get away.
Yeah.
It's hard. Family-owned business, it's great, but it's tough to get away.
Yeah, it is.
Tough to take vacations.
It's difficult.
Well, for him, it's tough to take off.
All right. Well, before we get into more about the kennel, we're going to take a quick commercial break.
What does a trainer do? Yell and stomp when you mess up? Watch from the sidelines while their team
What the hell are
carries.
you talking about? No.
When it comes to creating a champion, there aren't many who know better than Curtis Treadway. Curtis builds his retrievers to compete at championship level, bringing out their love for the sport and their mastery in competition, and savoring every minute of it. Curtis trusts none other than Sportsman's Pride to help him build his champions. Is it the right balance of protein and fat for drive and stamina? Or the antioxidants? Maybe it's the hip and joint care in every bag.
It's all the above.
Experience the Sportsman's Pride difference. Developed by experts, trusted by legends. New Sportsman's Pride Fieldmaster High Protein Dog Food. Available now.
All right. We're back on the Fieldmaster podcast, episode number 4. We're back with Kevin Erdmier of Southern Pine Kennels. So, Kevin, we talked a little bit in the beginning about your kennels and how you just finished an expansion. You can hold up to 40 dogs, and you do a lot of different obedience programs. I kind of want to walk through your different levels, because you kind of start with a beginner and then you go super advanced to specialized training. So let's start with your basic obedience. What does your basic obedience program look like?
So my basic obedience program is basically 3 problem areas that you have with your dog. Saying it's dragging you down the road. You need leash work. We'll fix the leash work. We'll get them where they heel right beside you. They don't pull you. You know, we fix problems. So basically 3 problem areas that you have with your dog, that's what we fix in the basic program. I'm sorry.
No, is it like whenever you are doing this training, do you have like an age type of limit within the dogs? Like it's like you can't teach old dogs new tricks type of thing?
Actually, most of the time you can teach old dogs
Yeah.
new tricks. Yeah. So I like for them to be for what I call formal obedience, at least 5 or 6 months old.
Okay.
Their brain's just not developed enough to accept formal training. Now, you can do puppy things. You can get them sit there for, 10 seconds or 20 seconds or whatever, but that's about it for a puppy. That's their attention span.
Right.
Kind of like mine.
Yeah. Well, one thing I wanted to ask, because we've got a dog, Oreo, who I've mentioned on the podcast before. Spoiled little brat is what really she is.
She's a precious angel.
She's spoiled is what she is. But we got her. I mean, she literally came out of a field onto my parents' farm and stuck around, and so we took her home. And so one of the things is, when we used to live in Memphis, we went to a training class, and there was so many young puppies. Like, we're talking 2-3 months old. And I always thought that it was too young. And so it kind of makes me wonder, why I think so often people try and start training at such a young age, but they try to go too advanced. And, with Oreo, I almost wonder if we did the same thing, because she doesn't listen to nothing. I mean, she, especially when she comes in the office, I literally the other day had to build a barricade in front of my door for her not to get out. And so, we spent all this money on a training class, and we went for 6 weeks or whatever, and we paid a buku's amount of money, but I think she was too young. Do you find that if you start a dog before that 5 or 6, that they kind of forget it later?
If you start them so young, you got to consistently keep it up till they get older and get it really nailed down. I mean,
Right.
Yeah, you can build in bad habits. I tell people when they're young, play with them, socialize them, get them out, and worry about the training when they get a little bigger. Yeah, you don't want them jumping all over everybody, but, it's a puppy. Sometimes they're going to do that. So
Yeah, we had a COVID pup, so it was kind of like
yeah.
socialization was a
terrible. Yeah.
Didn't happen.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's probably why he's so attached to us.
I'm getting a bunch. I'm still getting a bunch of them in for training.
Yep.
A bunch of COVID dogs that was sheltered. Not their fault.
Yeah.
You
I mean, just
Yeah.
the way of the world at the time.
I think it depends on the work ethic of the dog too. I have an Australian cattle dog, and she was able to sit, stay, lay, roll over by the time she was a month. She's brilliant. As she's gotten older, she's gotten more stubborn and has decided that she will listen when she wants to listen. It depends on the work ethic of the dog, right? Some of them absolutely want to please you, and they'll do anything to do your commands, and then Oreo is excited, and I will say she responds anytime I open my snack drawer. So I think she's trained, but maybe not the tricks and treats and things that you want her to do.
I just want her to, not yell at me all day long, because she loves she's a pit bull, and so pit bulls are vocal, and so but man, when we get home, it's like she's gonna tell me about everything she did that
She's like
day.
a toddler.
Yeah, that's it. I know. I got to start getting ready for that too.
There you go.
Man,
She's training you.
that's it.
Exactly.
That's it.
I see that a lot.
Yeah, yeah.
The owners get trained.
Yeah.
And pit bulls are very smart. And honestly, the smart dogs are the hardest ones to train, because they're like, I'm going to do what you want, but I'm going to do it in my way.
That was side eye.
Yeah.
My old male lab, no lie, I was training him, and I would sit him down, and I'd walk off or something, and I'd turn around and I'd look, and I was like, that's not where I sit him, but I couldn't prove it, I was like, so, I started marking it. I'd put me a little stick or something out there, and I'd mark it, and I'd walk off, and I got, I'd video, or I'd have somebody watch. Well, he was staying sitting, but he was scooting, getting closer to me. And I'm like, okay.
He found a loophole. He's
Exactly.
like,
You
you
didn't
said
specify
sit.
it.
You didn't
Yeah.
say where.
Exactly.
Like, I stayed sitting. I don't see the problem.
That's funny. So after that basic obedience, you go up to an intermediate obedience. So what's the difference between your basic and your intermediate?
So basically, like I said, there's three problem areas that we solve. The intermediate is basically all the obedience and socialization. Sit, stay, come to you, walk on a leash, place. I call it like timeout, where they go to a bed or a crate or somewhere. Basically, they just get out of your hair for a little bit, or you get out of their hair, whichever one it takes.
It depends on the day.
Depends on the day. So that's kind of our intermediates, all obedience, and so usually in the basic, we can get them to sit there. It's usually 3 to 4 weeks long. We can get them to sit there usually for 15, 20 minutes maybe. Again, according to the dog, some of them will sit there 2 hours. Some of them will sit there 5 minutes. Our intermediate, we try to get them to sit or be on place for 30 minutes to an hour.
Wow.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
And that's even with distractions. That's with other dogs running around, people coming in and out, that kind of thing.
Yeah, when we did that class in Memphis with Oreo, towards the end we kind of started getting into the stay and then, not move with distractions and stuff like that. And what they did was they had all the dogs line up in a row, and you had to make them sit, stay, and then all the owners would walk around the dogs, and you should just see Oreo's face. I have a video of it.
She's just shaking.
She's just shaking, and you just see her like she's been neglected for years. It's just like, please don't leave me in front of all these people.
You don't know what she went through before you got her, though.
Right.
I jokingly give her a hard time. I mean, she can't respond anyways, but I give her a hard time where I'm like, you literally came from the woods and now you sleep in luxury.
Right.
Be grateful.
Yeah, you don't know how good you have it.
She's just looking at you, yelling at her, like, okay. Like,
I wouldn't say it's yell. It's just kind of... There are times.
Harsh reality.
Yeah.
Harsh reality. Yeah. I try to keep her in line is what I do. I let her know
Reality
where
checks.
she came from. Yeah.
You had humble beginnings.
Yeah.
You appreciate this now.
Yeah. And now I laugh because Gina sometimes will get worked up about thinking about this, but I'll be like, I'm like, you literally used to eat things in the woods, and now your food costs $90 a bag because you have to have a specialized diet and everything like that. It's crazy. All right. So after your intermediate, you go into the next tier, which I love the name of this, Amazing Super Pet. And first of all,
my idea.
First of all, do you have a spot open? Second, how much is it? Because I want to know what is the difference between intermediate and Amazing Super Pet?
So intermediate, like I said, it covers everything. So basically, the amazing is like I said, they're pretty well bomb-proof. It's like service dog type training. I mean, that's really like right now, the one I told you that we was kind of starting on the diabetic alert dog. It's a poodle, a standard poodle. Me and my son shot a shotgun, and he sat between us the other day. I mean, we shot him 3 times a piece, so six rounds. I mean, we've took him by trains. We've tried to make him bomb-proof, where his job is his mom,
Wow.
to make sure that she stays healthy.
So you said the job is the mom. Is that something where the owner has to come in and train with you as well?
Absolutely, yes. Yeah. We're using her blood, and she's going to continue. She has actually been through the school to teach them and what you have to do is you have to draw the blood levels, your sugar levels at different levels, at different levels where they know, and you teach them which one's bad and which one's, okay.
Yeah. It's incredible how dogs can do that.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Well, it's incredible also what the body does there's blood sugar. You can smell the blood and stuff, but there are also people with fainting syndromes and things like that, where your body secretes like a hormone or something like that. So you literally put off a different smell that none of us can smell, but a dog can. So you can train dogs to smell all kinds of different things that go on with the human body, not just blood work or anything like that. And it's crazy what a dog can smell.
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
600 and something thousand times better they can smell than us. That's probably a wrong fact, but it's just like a bunch.
I mean, we can fact check it, but I'll believe you.
Fact check.
When I was pregnant, you have a heightened sense of smell when you're pregnant. I could barely tolerate that for however many weeks you have that at the beginning. I cannot imagine being able to smell all the things a dog can smell.
Yeah, not at all.
No.
Not at all.
And also, the Amazing Super Pet covers aggression dogs. dogs that's aggressive toward humans
Got it.
or other pets.
That's interesting.
So if an owner comes to you and says like, hey, my dog's a little bit aggressive towards other dogs or something like that, do you automatically put them in that amazing super pet?
I do originally, and then, I tell him if he's not as bad as what he thinks, then I'll call you. I try to run my business very fairly.
Right.
And here's the thing, even with any of the dogs, any of the programs, if I get a dog or a pet, whatever, that I don't think it's going to make it in like the first 10 days or so, I call them and I say, hey, I don't think he's going to do or she's going to do what you're asking me to train. Do you want me to continue, or, do you want to cancel the training? And I just charge them like a flat rate, per day, kind of a training / boarding fee. And I do it that way, and I've been blessed.
Yeah.
How do you train to take away aggression with dogs? Like,
a lot of repetitions. Everything I do is repetitions. And of course, there is some negative reinforcement sometimes. Not all the time. We try positive. If that don't work, then we go to negative.
I've always been, you see people out there with not necessarily shock collars, but different types of collars that offer negative reinforcement. And I've always shied away from it because that's just not my personality. But then I got a cattle dog, and it does not matter what I say. It doesn't matter positive reinforcement. This dog does what she wants. Now, she's 8. I've had her for a really long time. I've trained human aggression out of her. She doesn't have that anymore. We have an almost 1-year-old, and she's great with her. But she, every once in a while, she'll pass another dog on the greenway, and she'll show it. But there's nothing I can do in the positive reinforcement side. So as much as I shied away from it before having her, I now fully understand why certain dogs need that. So it's something that my eyes have been opened up to, and I'm grateful.
Yeah, with Oreo, for the longest time, I mean, we could not get her under control. I mean, it was the classic pulling and dragging and stuff. I mean, we tried a pinch collar at one point because that was like the first step that I was like, all right, we'll try this. I don't want to have to go further than this. And she would still, drag us down the road. And we eventually did get e-collar, and all it took was this one vibrates. Yeah. So it won't actually shock. It'll vibrate. It took that one time. And then from there on out, all I had to do was the warning beep.
Yep.
And now I kind of feel bad. I mean, she literally sometimes when we're at home and stuff and, we're about to have a baby. And so, I don't want her jumping all over Gina and stuff like that. But now I'll put that collar on and I'll just hit the beep and she automatically sits no matter. And I'm like, this is fantastic. I wish you did this all the time.
Right. Yeah. We had to use that for Toast just because he has hound in him for sure. And it's just smelling. Gets so hyper fixated on a certain scent and will just stay there. Doesn't matter what I do. And I just like beep it. He's like, oh, I didn't even hear you calling me.
The real world.
Yeah. So you've got 2 puppy programs as well. You've got a puppy head start and a puppy pet head start. So what's the difference between the two?
So the puppy head start is like for retrievers or pointers. Get them introduced to birds. Maybe some gunfire, according to how far they go. It's kind of socialization, but we'd specialize more for hunting.
Right.
And I don't throw a big duck out in front of them. It's, it's a dove or a quail, something small that's age appropriate or size appropriate.
Yeah. You don't put a big snow goose in front of them
no,
and say, go get it.
Yeah.
Bring it back.
Yeah, bring it back. See how long it takes.
Yeah.
Just dragging it back.
Yeah.
I've actually got videos of some of the dogs doing that. It was kind of, we was playing with other dogs. We had some bigger dogs out. And one of the pups decided they could do it too.
Right. I'm a big dog.
Yeah.
I'm going to show you. Yeah.
And actually did it. Pulled it probably 20 feet. So it was pretty impressive.
Oh, that's pretty good. And then you have your last program, which is the hunting retriever training. Now, out of all the dogs that you have, how many of them are going through your obedience classes? And then how many are going through the retriever training program?
So my retriever training programs I only keep like 4 at a time. I may keep 6 sometime, but pretty well 4 is it. most of them is going through obedience. And honestly, I try not to keep it about 20 dogs a month.
Right.
I've got room for a lot more. I mean, I board a lot, but I try not to do more than 16 to 20 a month. And that gives me 4 retrievers and, 12 to 16 obedience dogs.
Yeah, well, it's just you and your son too. Right. I mean, so we
do have a part-time guy that comes in a couple of days a week.
Oh, got it.
It's pretty well us.
Yeah, because I mean, if you were full at 40 dogs, that'd be a lot to manage for just the two of you.
Yeah, but I definitely have to have some help.
Yeah,
or I wouldn't be able to go hunting, and that wouldn't work.
Your son would need help. Is really what's happening. Okay, so
the retrievers, I do. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
I do 4 hunters. I don't do any field trials or hunt tests like a lot of others. I do it just for hunters. And like I said, I do usually about 4 at a time. I keep it very small, and so I don't take in, but it's usually a 4 to 6 month program. So I probably don't do maybe 10 to 20 retrievers a year, if that many. And then I have a lot of customers that send them back right before hunting season for a month to get them tuned up and get them ready to go for hunting season. So.
Quick refresher.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. Absolutely. It's funny. We were talking with, on our last episode, Bill Gibson of Mossy Oak Kennels, and he was telling us the same thing. He's like, I just don't have time to do a field trial or something like that. Yeah. Like, what people want is a good hunting dog. They want someone who's going to be able to go retrieve that duck, that bird, whatever it may be, and come back and sit by you. Mm-hmm. And, I think a lot of times people want the good hunting dog, but then some people want the prestigious bloodlines and things like that. So it's nice that you offer, if you want to just go hunt, if you're a sportsman or an outdoors person and you just want to be able to have a dog that you can rely on, you offer that. You don't, have the can't think of the word, but like
Grand Hunter Retriever champion.
Yeah, you don't necessarily need a champion. What you need is a good hunting dog. Right. So
I say my ribbons are the ducks and geese and dove and quail and whatever they retrieve and bring back to me. That's my ribbons and trophies.
Yeah, that's a good way to look at it. Yeah. Absolutely. So one of the things that you touched on is you do some boarding as well. Are a lot of your clients local to the swamp down in Okefenokee, or are they kind of, do you get people from all over?
I get people from all over, actually. We get dogs flown in, people drive them in, transporters. I think I had one from Washington State, which was pretty neat.
That's far.
That's a far away, yeah. That's as far away from South Georgia as you can get.
Yeah.
Or pretty close. But yeah, most of them say Virginia and Arkansas, kind of the, I guess, southeast, Midwest area is kind of our region, I guess, per se.
Yeah.
Like now I got one from North Carolina, one from South Carolina. I get a bunch out of Florida, a bunch out of Savannah, Georgia, Atlanta, Georgia.
Yeah.
Which is, 2 to 4 hours away.
And how often do those dogs stay with you that are kind of, not local, but, they've been flown in or driven in? How long will they stay with you?
It's according to which program we're in.
Right.
So anywhere from 4 to 6, 8 weeks for obedience and then, up to 6 months for retrievers.
Oh, wow.
Wow. It's a long time.
That's a long time.
And like some people come see them, some people don't. And they're like, they're going to forget me. I said, nope, I promise they won't. And they don't. I mean, it's crazy. It's like, it may take them a minute, but it's like, I don't know if it's the smell or just the voice or what. But once they realize it, it's like, they're glued to them.
It's that dog special bond thing.
It is, absolutely.
I had Zoe for about a year before I up and moved to Asia for about a year and a half, and my parents took her in. And when I came back home, now, like I said, she's not aggressive. She's people wary. When I came home, it was dark. It was night, and I was standing in my driveway, and my dad opened the gate to let her run up and see me, and she runs up and stops like, ooh, new person. And then she like slowly comes over and smells my foot, and then immediately rolls on her back and just starts peeing like everywhere up in the air. And it was like, we have it on video. There's just like pee everywhere. And she just knew who I was. I'd had her 8 months and was gone more than
double that.
And she comes home or I came home and she immediately was like, oh, my person's back. And then she didn't leave my side because she was like, no, you're not leaving again.
Right.
But yeah, they know.
Yeah.
They just know.
Hey, and I tell people, trust a dog. You know, if the dog don't trust you, might be a sign.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, Gina and I joke all the time, you know, Oreo loves both of our parents. Oreo would trade us in a heartbeat. I mean, she's definitely kind of like more partial to me out of Gina and I. But she'd trade me in for a weekend at the grandparents' house because
that's the perk of being a grandparent.
I was about to
That's
say,
it.
there's nothing like grandparents' house.
Yeah.
well, at Gina's parents' house, they have a fenced-in backyard, and the last time she was there, she got to just sleep out in the yard in the sunshine all day, and so we get traded in.
Yep.
Quick. All right, so the next thing I kind of want to talk about is I alluded to it at the beginning of the show, but before we even had a relationship, we went onto your website and you had a whole section about Sportsman's Pride and about the food and how you were already feeding it. You had images of bags that I hadn't even seen before. That I was like, how did he get those? And then we found out you got them from the distributor and you got them from all these other people. I'm like, man, he must really like the feed. So how did you find Sportsman's Pride, and how did you decide this was the food that you were going to use for the dogs?
So let's back up a little bit. Let's back way up, actually.
Okay.
So Sunshine Mills, your parent company.
Yep.
My granddaddy fed that. So we had coon dogs, rabbit dogs, bird dogs growing up, and my dad, I mean, all of it. But so the big yellow bag, I cannot remember the name of the feed, but Sunshine Mills.
Right.
Bright yellow bag, you know. I remember them feeding it for years. And then, but, so I try to feed, anytime I switch or do anything, I always test it with my own personal dogs before I ever feed it to anybody else's. And I mean, I try to give it a good test, you know, months, and try to make sure that everything's up and good to go. But the thing I liked about Sportsman's Pride is, one, you know, been in business a long time, no recalls, no major problems
Right.
with the food. And then when I started testing it, started running dogs, and I was running them during the summer, you know, and it's 110 degrees in South Georgia.
Yeah.
The water temperature is 90 degrees, almost, you know.
That humidity is 100%.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
You feel like you're walking through a shower all
Just
day
like
long. Yeah.
spread the water.
And so I ran dogs really hard a couple summers ago on Sportsman's Pride. They kept their weight. And, you know, they stayed athletic. They stayed upbeat. Everything was good. So that's the reason I went with Sportsman's Pride.
Yeah, on your website, what I thought was really unique, and a lot of people don't touch on this, and I think it's so important, the nutrition that goes into training dogs.
Yeah.
Because like you said, you're running dogs every day in, 100-degree weather. If you don't have the right nutrition in that dog, then they're going to drop weight quick. And then they can also, have other side effects from that, with it, whether it's hip and joint issues or, digestion issues, something like
And
that.
even with our obedience programs, the dogs get exercise a lot. And I tell people a lot of times it's huge for dogs to get their exercise. I mean, it's so good for them. It solves so many problems. The chewing, the barking, not all the time barking, but the digging. So many things that exercise will cure or will help tremendously with. Because they get bored.
Yeah.
They get tired of looking at the same backyard.
They get curious
Right,
too, and that's what
absolutely.
leads to issues.
Yeah.
Yep. Exercise is big. I know when Toast exercise, he's out. Like he is just super. He listens well. Everything. If we go like hiking for a weekend, he comes like that. Next week, he is.
Well,
perfect.
Physical exercise obviously is crucial, but also the more you train their brain, the more they're mentally exhausted, the harder they sleep, the more content they are to kind of be around. So that's one of the perks for training puppies as well. You have, a puppy crashes for 10 minutes and they're like, yeah, start the day. And you're like, okay, calm down. It's been 10 minutes. But the more you train their brains and the more exhausted you have them in a mental state, the more your puppy's going to be like, okay, like I can do this. So physical, but as well as mental.
Yeah, for sure.
Huge.
And I've read recently too, so I make, as I'm going through training, like when I walk up to the gate, I have them sit down. If I'm using e-collar, I put them on, I put a leash on, whatever. I make them sit there controlled while I do this. And I make them heel, to the door or whatever and sit and that kind of stuff. But just, they say the first 50 steps of making them be controlled and think and focus burns more calories than like a quarter-mile walk or something, or half-a-mile walk. It's crazy. But also, I was thinking about is the stress with dogs in training, being away from their families and stuff. That's another part of it, with the nutrition. I believe it really paid that.
Yeah.
The food.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's interesting because sometimes I hear online of people that they get a certain breed of dog as well. Like the one that comes to mind is like a short hair pointer, and they end up getting a different dog because they don't realize how much exercise dogs need. And I think a lot of times you have to get them trained in order to just be at home, but not only that, for the benefit of them as well, to be able to, go outside and run and, when you go for a walk, not be dragging you down the road for them, but for you as well. Yeah. Which is, crucial. So I think you sent me a picture of the bag that you guys used to feed. From way back when, and obviously we've developed a long time in the last 60 years that we've been in business. So, what are you feeding now, and what are some of the benefits that you see from that food?
I'm feeding the Fieldmaster. I've just found overall it's really good food for pets and for the hunting retrievers and pointers. Like I said, the stress, the exercise, all that stuff. I like it because it's turkey-based. It's not grain-free. I'm not a grain-free fan per se. I know a lot of people are. But I like feeds with, a little bit of everything in it.
Yeah.
Or not everything. Of course, I don't want byproducts, but
right.
of good stuff. And, good
sustainable
products.
energy.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, so one of the things that I wanted to ask, kind of to wrap up a little bit, is you just finished an expansion. You can hold 40 dogs, you said. Close to. What are your plans for the future? I mean, your son's involved. So, are you gonna one day say, hey, this is yours now, and then you get to go hunting all year long, or what's the plan for Southern Pine?
Man, I don't make plans.
Colton's looking to be adopted into the family business.
I'm trying to figure out,
Okay, I got you.
I might go get Oreo after this and just ship her off.
Let's do it. Yes, the plan is Ryan's going to take over one day. Hopefully, have a grandkid or something that gets involved, and it'd be a long time, multi-generational business. But I'll be honest, I'm still in shock that it's done as well as it has. I mean, it blows my mind. I still pinch myself because I never would have dreamed that it would be where it's at today in 7 years, and it's crazy. I mean, I'm sitting here talking to y'all like I know something.
You're out of the honeymoon phase of, I built a business, that's really cool, into like, I built a business, it's doing great, I'm still loving it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's neat. It's been a neat process. I was talking about the Instagram earlier. You know, one of the things I do, I don't know if I learned early on or if I just knew it already and just didn't do it, but I'd never promote a product that I don't believe in,
Right.
that I have not tested personally. I can't do it. I see so many people, you know, doing things, and you know, I'll go try it or whatever, and I'll be like, no, that's not for me. You know, I'm not better than anybody else. I'm not saying that at all.
Yeah.
It's just like I test things. I'm not book smart, not really, not real smart, you know. But I test the like the dog food. Yeah. I test it on the dogs. I watch them and I see, you know, how they do on it. Make sure they don't lose weight, that kind of thing. That's my test. You know,
you gotta see it for yourself.
Yeah, the real world stuff. I mean, shotguns. When I test one.
Yeah, I think, you know, talking about Instagram, and we kind of mentioned it in the beginning, you know, you were adamant about our food before we even developed this relationship. And I think in the new age of social media and things like that, especially now, it's evolving even crazier, where people are getting paid, sometimes, depending on your audience, millions of dollars to promote something.
Right.
You know, it says a lot when someone says, you know, it's my word, like I'm going to test it before I even do anything with it. Because now I think people are just wanting to get paid to have more things.
Yep.
And, you know, so I admire you for that. And, you know, it says a lot to your character that, you know, you're not going to promote something if it's not what you would use. And I think oftentimes, you know, we don't see that. And, you know, obviously you're doing that at Southern Pine.
Well, and that's what I tell my son. I said, our name is all we got. You know,
that's true.
If something happens with it, you're done.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's
you know,
true.
that's in business. You're even worse personally. You know, your name's attached to it. So if you don't have a good name, you don't have much.
And I think authenticity can be few and far between on social media. So when the authentic, genuine people who love what they do actually know what they're doing and stand by a product, it's pretty obvious when those come along.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, because I've seen it on social media all the time where you think someone is something and then you turn around and they don't know what they're talking about at all.
They'll do a review and I'm just kind of like side eye. I'm like,
And scripted.
like that didn't seem genuine.
Yeah.
And it's just kind of disheartening. It's like you said, it's your character, it's your word, and once you like lie or just like say promote something that obviously doesn't work, it's detrimental.
Yeah.
I got to go back and check my review and see what I wrote.
Anyways, we'll send your paycheck in the mail later.
Yeah, and I don't get paid. So
I know.
Sportsman's Pride does not pay me. So
Well, anyways, Kevin, we thank you so much for stopping back on your way through from Arkansas. Congrats on your banded.
thank you.
You know, we'll get you a little plaque that you can put it in. But thank you again for stopping by and chatting with us. Where can people find you?
Thank y'all for having me. So Instagram, of course, Southern_Pine_ Kennel. That's where I do most of my, you know, daily things. I do reels and pictures and videos and stuff. I do have a website, www.southernpinekennel.com, and I have a Facebook page also, Southern Pine Kennel. We've been very fortunate. We got a lot of followers, and I mean, not millions, but thousands. And we have fun with it most days. You know, I do it all, so it's not professional. Some days it's like, wow, that's really good. And then
it's
some
authentic.
days,
Yeah.
yes,
Yeah,
it's
it's
very
authentic.
authentic.
Yeah.
Yes, and some days you're like, who is this idiot running this? You know. So.
Well, thank you again, Kevin, for coming on the Fieldmaster podcast. We greatly appreciate it. So thanks, everyone, for listening to the Fieldmaster podcast. Be sure to follow us on social media at sportsmans_pride. If you're listening to this or watching this on YouTube, be sure that you subscribe, and you can also subscribe and follow on your favorite podcast app like Apple or Spotify. If you're watching this on YouTube, be sure to subscribe, leave a thumbs up, tell Kevin he's awesome, and we'll see you on the next one.